Hi. What is today? Today is July 23rd. I'm Melody. Some people know me as Reverend Melody. Some people know me as the artist Melody. Some people know as the singing lady. I've been singing since I was 3 years old. I wanted to come out here today to talk about my life. And I was raised from a babe to my teenage years until I went off to college. I was raised at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, which is still located on New Kings Road. I think it's 1701 New Kings Road, but it's New Kings Road, and it's on the same side as where the Popeyes is, right there on Sutel. If you know about Jacksonville, then you know about Sutel Drive and New Kings Road. And if you keep straight on New Kings Road coming towards town, you're going to pass St. Paul AME Church. And there's also a Jehovah's Witness Hall on the same side as my church. But I was raised in Friendship Missionary Baptist Church way back in the day. My mother went there. My mother remembers when she had to ride a horse and buggy there, and they still had night service back then. And it was a safer time because you could go to church with just a lantern, your horse, and your buggy. And you would go to church. And then on Monday, if you needed a social security card or if you needed to go to school, back in the day, when my mother was young, that's where they did all the business of your health, the health, state board of health, and all of that stuff, as well as schools back then. I lived in a time when Reverend Remus Smith was our pastor. And I remember how he preached. I remember he baptized me as a little girl. I remember that he would, in our church, we had families. We had, in alphabetical order, if I can, we had the Alberti family, the Kendrick family. We had the Prime family. I'm sorry, we had the Powell family. Then we had the Prime family. I'm trying to think of this in alphabetical order. I should have written it all down. But I didn't. I just came out here to talk to y'all about this. But anyway, so yeah, it was the Primes, the Powells. I got the Kendricks already. I think I already said the Albertis. Um, the Hartsfield family was there. So many families came through that church. The Martin family was there. Let's see. And I remember when during the Vietnam War, we had a young man who did go to the Vietnam War, James Earl Powell. And yes, he was killed over there. And I remember when they brought that wall of remembrance to Daytona Beach, I went straight there and looked for his name. And I learned how to get his name off the board. You take a piece of paper and a pencil, and you just scrape the pencil across the clear piece of paper, and the name will appear from the board. And because we didn't have cell phones back then to take the picture, but I did have that. And what I did was, once I scraped his name off of there, I sent it in a letter to my mother, and I said I saw James Earl name on the on the wall of remembrance, that they were um, putting it on trailers and bringing it to different cities so people could see their son's name and remember their child. It was bittersweet because you know that the person, died under the hand of the enemy under the Vietnam War. But they said, as I got older, someone said to me, James Earl told his mother, if I go to this war, I'm going to come back home in a box. He knew it. So a lot of those young boys in the Vietnam War, they knew what was coming because they had never been in no war. They didn't know what they were up against. But those people were skilled warriors. From little children, they knew, what to do. But anyway, so I was raised in Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. Wait a minute, let me take this gum out of my mouth. Hold on. Yeah, I'm tired of fighting with that gum. But anyway, so I was raised in Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. All of the families that I named, the Albertis, the Kendricks, the Prime, the Williams, the Powells, the Hartsfields, all of them I considered family. The parents were my aunts and uncles, or my grandpa and grandma. I did not see them as just regular church members. To me, they were family. That's how I was raised. That's the way it was. All of their children, we were all cousins. We were all related in some sort of way. And we would, every year, we would have, we would do our Easter speeches. We'd say our Christmas speeches. Christmas time, we would always get, we'd get a peppermint with an orange, some pecans in a little bag. We'd get socks and we'd get underwear. That was from the youth department. During the spring, we would do plays and theater and all that. So that's where I learned how to speak up, how to make my voice project to the back of the room. So once I got to college and all of that, that was already instilled in me from Friendship Missionary Baptist Church all of my life. And I didn't know then what I know now about the hymns of the church. One of the things about the hymns of the church was that um, we sang them every Sunday. We opened our hymn book. We sang, the superintendent would say, okay, turn to hymn number 15, or turn hymn number 240. And we would do that. Now, can you imagine doing that every Sunday, all of your life? So when I got older, there wasn't a hymn that I didn't know. There wasn't a hymn that I couldn't sing. If we sang it in Sunday school, I knew it. Same thing with the scriptures. You hear them every Sunday. Did they tell us to memorize them? No. But did you? Did I? Yes, because I remember them so much. All of the stories in kindergarten, they told it to us like stories. Daniel and the lion did, David killing Goliath, all of those things. We learned at a young age from our Sunday school teacher. That's why I think it's so important for children to get in the pattern of going to church. Because even when I went off to college, I wanted to find a church, and I was not successful, but what I was successful at was singing. So I joined the gospel choir and the concert chorale. And if I wasn't singing with one on the weekend, I was singing with the other. And I got to travel all across the United States. They would take us to just sing because I went to Bethune-Cookman College. And out of high school, from high school, I went to Paxson Junior, Paxson Senior High. I think they're both renamed now. But after that, I went to Bethune-Cookman. It was college then. It wasn't a university. It was just a private college. And I just remember traveling on Sundays. I was in church every Sunday. Every Sunday we were going somewhere. I had a best friend back then. His name was John Edwards. And if it was close by, him and his friend, they would get in the car. And if the choir was singing, he would go where we were singing. And afterwards, I was able to not ride on the bus, but I could ride. I would ask my director, could I ride back home with my friend? And he said yes. And those were some of the best times because he would tell jokes, and we would just have such a good time with John. It was just a freedom I didn't even know existed in a platonic relationship. He didn't try anything with me. I didn't try anything with him. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful season in my life to have a good friend like that. He's gone on to glory now, but his memory, the memory of him as a preacher and a pastor and a dear friend, I will never, ever, ever forget him for that. Or I should say, I will always remember him for that. All right, so like I said about friendship, we did, back then we had Easter Monday off, so what we would do is the deaconesses, we would color the eggs, and then then we'd have the Easter egg hunt on Sunday, and then on Monday they would take us to a place called Magnolia Lake, and we would go to Magnolia Lake and get in the water. We'd dance. We'd have so much fun, and it was just good, clean fun. We didn't have none of this mass shooting and killing or nothing like that. It was just really, really wonderful, and that's what I wanted to talk about for my church. I wanted it to be recorded that Friendship Missionary Baptist Church stood for more than just a church on the side of the road. That it was really, oh yeah, and the Mayhews. I didn't say the Mayhews. The Mayhews, they were a great part of the church. As a matter of fact, it was his Mrs. Mayhew, I believe, that owned the land that the church was purchased from. And so it was the Mayhews that helped us, and then it was the Robinsons. Now the names are coming to me. the Robinsons, Brenda and her sister Beverly. We all sang in the choir together. The McCrays and Audrey, Toy, Carol, Sheila, Gary, all of us. I said the Kendricks already. My Aunt Damaris and her daughters, and then later her granddaughters. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful time in my life. If you have listened thus far, please leave a comment and like this YouTube video. And take it easy and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye now.